Hi, good evening. My name is Miriam Karagian. Welcome to this beautiful venue. Wow. I happen to be an Armenian Bar Association member. I also happen to be your co-MC along with Armen Agarakian.
I'm just assisting this year. She's the MC.
That's not true. It is my first time emceeing, so please be kind to me. Few ground rules. If I do an amazing job, if I appear in your courtroom, please be kind to me. If I do a terrible job, please let the Armenian Bar Association not to invite me next year. So, thank you so much. On a serious note, instead of reciting a famous quote or be poetic, I intended to draw inspiration from this very room. The turnout tonight is simply amazing. And in saying that, I want to focus on two themes: unity and community. It is through unity that we're able to cultivate this very beautiful community. And tonight, we have an outstanding program for you, and we hope that you enjoy and have a friendly conversation and be part of this beautiful community. Welcome to an Armenian home. The Armenian Bar Association, through its founding members, had the foresight and the vision for this very occasion 35 years ago. And tonight, in an effort to absorb the sheer impact of this united community, please know that we've got the entire state of California covered. We've got judicial officers at every level here with us tonight: local, state, and federal. We've covered San Francisco through San Diego, and we're very proud of that. We want to ask every single judicial officer to please rise so that we can salute you for being here with us. We have over 120 judges with us tonight. Thank you.
And we were hoping at the end that we get a full group photo with all the judicial officers too.
If you could survive the program, yes, that would be very nice. And with that, we hope that you enjoyed our dinner. The dinner menu has been specifically chosen to have you enjoy this beautiful meal as you would have in an Armenian home.
Thank you so much. This is the 10th time that we're having this annual Judges Night. And you'll see in the video collage that we'll be playing during the dinner the number of other judicial officers the great judicial officers that are being honored here tonight will be joining. But most importantly this night is a thank you. Is a thank you to all of you that are in the public service, that actually you've dedicated your lives to the community and to others. And instead of saying, okay, I'm going to go in the private sector and maybe I can do a little better there, you decided, I'm going to sacrifice that for the community. Because everything that we do is governed by the law. Just think about how many things you did today that if there weren't judges like yourselves upholding the law. Just think of it this way: stopping at red lights, not crossing the street when you're not supposed to, following the traffic rules. All of those things only exist because we have judges like you that enforce and uphold the laws. And if those things didn't happen, then we'd have nothing but chaos. And it's important to know that there is something that we all, as judges, all of you take an oath to. And you take an oath to uphold the Constitution. You don't take an oath to uphold a person or a place or a thing. You take an oath to uphold the Constitution. And for that, we salute all of your service, and we thank you so much for everything you have done for this great state and for this country. So we're going to invite up our chairwoman of this organization, Lucy Varpetian. Miriam, say a few things about her.
I couldn't describe Lucy tonight in one standing. It would take maybe 36 hours. I'm sorry, Lucy. But if I were to find a word to describe Lucy, she's simply a doer, a fearless leader, somebody that recruited me over 10 years ago, and I'm forever indebted to her. Not only has she paved my way to launching my own practice, she's given me the courage to have my own first trial. And here we are, she's encouraging me to do my first MC event. So Lucy, come on down. We love you so much.
Բարի երեկո, բոլորին. We are so grateful that you are here tonight. What a joy it is to be with all of you today. It truly is quite a remarkable event, and we are pleased to be in your company. Last year, in this very hall, we shared with you some very tragic news about what was happening in Artsakh to the indigenous population of the Armenians there. There was a blockade, and the Armenian people were blocked from all humanitarian aid. But the hunger did not break the spirit of the Armenian people. What did break our spirit was the international silence of the catastrophe. This silence then led to something so much worse than any of us could have imagined. In September 2023, the entire population of Artsakh was forcibly removed, a complete ethnic cleansing. We are still mourning that loss, and it's nights like this that we are able to learn and to lean on our friends to lighten our spirits, renew our resolve, and propel us to seek justice for all those who cannot do so themselves. We are grateful to each of you for being here. We are especially grateful to our three honorees. Many of you may not know our sister, Maria Dagalian Hernandez, from Orange County. And there is an Orange County delegation here, which probably felt like it was farther away than San Diego. And Judge Jessner, who is here tonight, she has been a tremendous supporter of the Armenian Bar for many, many years. And you just have to look at the photos as we rotate them to see, just to see how long Judge Jessner has been committed to the Armenian Bar Association. And wait until you hear about Justice Jenkins. The Armenian connection that has gone in and out of his life throughout the last several decades will truly surprise you. So we are very happy to be able to share that story with you today. But before we get to all of that, we have to pause and celebrate someone incredibly grand. Many of you know him. It's Judge Zaven Sinanian. Our preeminent award that in the last 35 years has been bestowed only on a handful of individuals, only one of whom is here tonight. That's Judge Dikran Tevrizian. Justice Marvin Baxter from the California Supreme Court, who I have to say, if we hadn't spoken with him, probably tonight would not have happened, Justice Jenkins. And so it is with great pleasure that we recognize Zaven tonight. And this award is limited to those individuals who have distinguished themselves not only in their careers, but have advanced the rights of Armenians in their respective communities. To introduce Zaven, I'm going to ask Armen Hovanesyan, his dear friend of over 40 years. Armen, who is a founding member of the Armenian Bar Association and a member of our Board of Governors, has been our moral compass since the beginning. He takes the words that he has learned in books and delivers it through the kitchen of his Gojolosian grandmother in Fresno. And I believe he is really, truly the only person who knows Zaven better than everyone else in this room. So Armen, please come up.
What I have to say this evening, and what you should listen to, goes beyond the goalposts on the field of Judge Zaven Sinanyan's legal and judicial careers. From my perspective, Zaven's most enduring achievement is something that both transcends and explains his professional and personal success stories. Zaven himself, a first-generation American, balanced across uncertain suspension bridges. He navigated choppy waters. He negotiated rocky roads, which, as much as they connected him to the new world, linked him to the past, to real heroes, to real loyalty and real honesty, to the first generation of Armenian Americans who came to this country soon after the genocide. And against the swell of today's increasingly garish display of egos and Instagrams stand just a few strong women and men, among whom is Judge Zaven Sinanyan, who is too modest to claim it, who is even too humble to dignify it, but whose life follows straight and narrow Zaven to those who had every reason to give up, who instead took the high road, taking no shortcuts, no handouts, no charity, and who never, ever surrendered. To the generation of his grandparents and parents, to a nation of builders and rebuilders and rebuilders who used integrity and devotion to build fortresses of faith and community with brickworks of rectitude and mortar piles of purpose. The story, Zaven, of Zaven Sinanyan is both a quintessential and uplifting American tale, and it's also an essential Armenian moralistic fable. American with its fulfillment of promise and opportunity, and Armenian at its roots with its hold on heritage and homeland. And this is where Zaven's story and your own family narratives may be seen to intersect. Armenian or non-Armenian, Armenian or non-Armenian, regardless of the roots and suffixes of your origins and names, many of your bloodlines share a common fundamental characteristic. Your people faced darkness and insisted instead on the creation of light for your children. They took silent oaths to not give up, to say yes to life, to believe in the possibility of new beginnings. Nearly 90 years ago, William Saroyan sent his famous message into the world about Armenians, laughing again, singing again, and praying again after efforts to destroy them failed. But what he also did, Saroyan did, he catapulted into the future unknowingly into the very destiny of who would be and became Zaven Sinanyan. Dreams, especially shared dreams, are what have given me the great pleasure of being part of the Armenian Bar Association with Zaven for more than half your lifetime and more than half my lifetime, in full service to its members, to the public, to the United States of America, and to the republics of Armenia and Artsakh. All the while, we've had lots of fun. We've had great fun. Sometimes philosophizing too much, oftentimes eating too much, and on rare occasion, maybe even drinking a little too much. But at the same time, we have taken our work very seriously. Because by pure chance, by sheer fate that many of us, Armenian and non-Armenian alike, are among the very few who have been given the gift of life, unlike the very many among our peoples who are given no gifts at all. Dear judges, colleagues, what we are honoring tonight is not merely the passage of time or one's climb into the professional stratosphere. It is not that. We live in times when it seems sometimes that merely surviving is a notable accomplishment. But what we celebrate and honor tonight is far more positive. It is a recognition of long-lasting worthiness. Today, we honor someone with staying power, something that cannot be taught, someone with worldly wisdom and with a long and distinguished career in the law, of being a wonderful example to his judicial colleagues, to attorneys, and to students. As I close, in the words of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a nation reveals itself not by the men it produces, but by the men it honors, the men it remembers. And so we here, the community, the Armenian Bar Association, we reveal much of ourselves in the person we have chosen to honor with honorary membership tonight, and in determining what values, positions, and sacrifices to single out for distinction. And if we're lucky, we're also able to honor people not only for the things that they were brought out in themselves, but what they brought out in others. Zaven, we salute you. We honor you. We thank you. We applaud you for all the good that you have brought out in so many of us in this room tonight. And finally, it's been said that over time, friendship turns into love. And with that in mind, there's a poem by a British-American poet by the name of W.H. Auden. And here's an extract from one of his poems. He was my north, he was my south, he was my east, and he was my west. My working week and my Sunday rest, My talk, my song, I thought that love would last forever, but alas, I was wrong. For the Armenian Bar Association, Judge Sinanyan is our steady compass, and the directions he has pointed us, the roads on which he has led us, have always been the abundant and righteous ones, full of the laughter and the songs and the prayers that William Saroyan seemingly bequeathed to Zaven Sinanyan. But unlike the melancholy ending of W.H. Audum's poem, our joy, our happiness, and indeed our love for you, my brother, will last forever. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Armin. I'm truly overwhelmed, humbled, honored by your words, and I don't know what to say. I'm truly speechless. I have prepared some remarks because I was told to prepare remarks, and Judge Jester knows how much I love giving speeches, being on committees, all that stuff that I've done with the court, but I've told her some years ago that I'm kind of retiring. Now I'm really retired. So if I may take a moment of your time and share a few words with you. I'd like to first congratulate tonight's distinguished honorees, Justice Jenkins, Judge Hernandez, and my friend Judge Jessner. You are deserving of the honors that are given to you today, and I'm honored to be on the same stage with you. I feel extremely honored and deeply touched by this extraordinary recognition for which the Armenian Bar has determined that I'm a worthy candidate. I am humbled to join the select group of association honorary members, the Dukmajians, the Tavrizians, the Baxters, the Arabians, the Burnses, and others, who, frankly speaking, were my inspirations and mentors. Never in my wildest dreams of imaginations would I have thought that my name would appear with theirs. My years on the bench and involvement in the Bar Association were driven particularly by a sense of mandatory participation in the forward movement of wheels of justice. And that somewhat dreamy aspiration had its roots in what is usually the engine of most people's evolution. Everything starts and often is colored by our beginnings. Here are a few special mentions of my beginnings. I was born and raised on a small island in the eastern Mediterranean named Cyprus. My family had to flee our once idyllic home in 1974 following the Turkish military invasion and occupation of 40% of the island. I was a refugee thrown into the teeth of the great big and often unforgiving public school system of the Midwest, where there wasn't a single Cypriot or a single Armenian in Chicago, Illinois. I had to find my own way, as did my parents. My father worked in a factory, my mother in the kitchen at my high school cafeteria. My father spoke 4 languages, my mother 5. He had a British education in Cyprus, and she had a French education in Damascus, Syria. But they had to start all over again as refugees in America. The influences in my life were always the influencers, that's the word we use these days, were my parents. My father and mother have left an indelible mark on my life and a special place in my heart. Despite the educated and worldly status of my parents, which they passed on to me, I was the object of ridicule, who eventually grew a thick skin and built a strong spine. My Middle America fellow students made fun of me and used epithets to describe my ethnicity. Needless to say, I was made fun of in school, not only because of my status as an immigrant, but also my appearance and British accent. I had a British education. They labeled me as the foreigner. This is before the band came out. Education was my way of overcoming these challenges and earning their respect. Rafi Hovhannisyan, my good friend and Armen's brother, formed the Armenian Bar Association in 1989. I was one of the founding members. The inaugural meeting was held in Los Angeles. I immediately volunteered to organize the Pro Bono Committee and became the first chair. The goal was to provide legal services to Armenian immigrants and low-income residents. We met with established local pro bono organizations to learn and enhance our services by organizing various pro bono clinics and public lectures. In 1991, the world changed forever. The Soviet Union was dissolved and the new Republic of Armenia was formed. Soon thereafter, the government of Armenia appointed Rafi Hovhannisyan, the founder of this organization, as the first foreign minister of the new nation state. I was invited by Rafi to relocate to Armenia to work as a pro bono advisor to the foreign minister. I took a one-year leave of absence from my position as the Deputy Attorney General of the state of California to serve as counselor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I moved to Armenia with my wife, who's also named Armenia, in the spring of 1992, shortly after our marriage. We took up residence in a dormitory near the Foreign Ministry building, where I spent time drafting documents for Armenia's participation in international organizations and treaties. Those years were difficult years in Armenia with the war in Artsakh, with rationed electricity, bread lines. However, these were times that were special and memorable because I was present at the creation of a republic. In 2002, I was elected president of the Armenian Bar Association. I was ready to take on the responsibility. Shortly thereafter, Governor Gray Davis and Bert Pines, who's a close friend of mine now, decided that they wanted to appoint me as a judge of the LA Superior Court. I resigned as president of the association to assume my duties as a Superior Court judge. I have the distinction of being the shortest serving president of the association. When I assumed my duties as a judge, I did not want to disengage from the community. Community service and outreach were qualities that I could easily fit into my role as a judge. I never took myself too seriously because I had a judicial title, though I carried the title with dignity. I saw myself as a productive member of the community who happened to work as a judge. I made it a point to join the Judicial Council Access and Fairness Committee early on in my career to advance those goals. Over the past 21 years as a judge, I not only did my job of overseeing cases in my court, but also volunteered for challenging assignments, served in management positions and on court leadership committees. I prided myself on being a team player. I enjoyed working with the brightest judges who are in this room in the world, way brighter than me. I learned from them to be a better judge. I treated everyone with dignity and respect, and I believed in unity for our court. I always emphasized the importance of civility and professionalism in our courtrooms. Please don't laugh at me when I say this, because it's not an oxymoron. I stand before you as one of the happiest judges on earth. It was truly the best job in the world, and I do miss it. I woke up every morning thinking, what a great country. I am truly blessed. No other country in the world would provide the opportunities America provided to this 14-year-old immigrant. I am, of course, also truly blessed with my wonderful wife, life partner, Armenia, our children, Daniel and Lori, and our future son-in-law, Razmik Sarkisian, who I'm proud to say is a law clerk with the complex department at the Los Angeles Superior Court. There's an Armenian saying, "Partsratsir, partsratsur." That is the motto I live with, I've always lived with. It means to rise and raise others. Our calling as lawyers and judges is not only to rise from adversity and do justice, but it's also to serve and help raise others around us. I leave you with this proverb. Blessed are the people who plant trees under whose shade they will not sit. And I consider myself to be one of those people. Thank you very much for the honor. It's a great privilege to be here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite Judge Michael Amirian to the podium. He's going to help us invite the nominees tonight. And a little bit about Judge Amirian before you come up. I've had the pleasure of being on this committee with you. You're kind, you're patient, but most importantly, I think you allow the unheard voice to come forward. And I thank you for being so kind to the committee. We've also recently been on a UCLA panel together, and I've learned so much about you through that panel. But Judge Amirian is a judge in the Los Angeles Superior Court, the Nice Division, and he presides over the Unlimited Civil Independent Calendar Courtroom. Judge Amirian earned his bachelor's from Georgetown University and went to law school at the USC Law School. Fun fact about Judge Amirian, and I got permission to share that with him, is during the panel he shared that he tried everything in his capacity not to end up as a judge because his dad was a judge, but all roads led him to judgeship. So Judge Amirian, welcome. Come on down and help us with this event.
But it's not going to be just Judge Amirian alone introducing. Because of the greatness of our honorees, we're going to have two judges introducing our honorees this evening. So the other judge who will be introducing the honorees is Judge Amy Ashvanian. We know her in the Armenian Bar as Judge Amy, but don't let her kind name fool you. She was a former violent gang prosecutor. What does that tell you about her courage and don't mess with her? Not only was she a hardcore gang prosecutor and a violent crime, she received the most valuable prosecutor award, the MVP. She sits in a superior court, in the criminal court, and we as Armenians are extremely proud of her because she is the first Armenia-born Armenian to ever be appointed to the bench in the United States. She's been a longtime member of the Armenian Bar. She's currently on the Board of Governors. She's heavily involved in the Artsakh Law Initiative Committee. And she even participates in training programs for judges in the Republic of Armenia, where she focuses on judicial ethics and teaches them the Western society way of law and how things are to be done. Judge Ashvanian, please come up to the stage also.
All right, I have the honor of going first to introduce our first honoree. Judge Maria Daglian Hernandez is the presiding judge of the Orange County Superior Court. She was a panelist several years ago during our annual meeting in Huntington Beach. She remembers that moment fondly because of how proud her Armenian father, Michael, was to see her welcomed with open arms by her Armenian brothers and sisters in the legal profession. She keeps the photo they took that day in front of our logo in her chambers to cherish the moment and remind her of the example he set. In speaking with Judge Daglian Hernandez, it became immediately apparent to me just how much her father influences her to this day, even after his passing. Thus, to understand him is to understand her. Human beings cope with trauma in different but equally valid ways. As bench officers, we see this every day. Some talk about the trauma assertively and frequently to confront and control it. Others internalize the trauma stoically and cope by channeling their energy in other directions. Her father, the son of genocide survivors, chose the second path. He never spoke about the atrocities his parents faced and why they fled Armenia for Detroit until very late in his life. And even then, they had to be pried from him. Instead, a proud man, he taught her the importance of a strong work ethic and providing for his family, which he did through a variety of entrepreneurial endeavors, from owning a gas station to working as a mechanic, driving semi-trucks for the government, and working in real estate. In addition, perhaps because his mother lived in an orphanage until she was 11 or 12, he was also keenly aware of the need to do the right thing for the most vulnerable members of our society. He taught Judge Daglian Hernandez the importance of being the voice for those unable to speak for themselves when he served as a school board member himself in San Diego in the 1970s. She was clearly paying attention. Judge Daglian Hernandez flourished first as a trial attorney in the Orange County Public Defender's Office, and then as an award-winning commissioner and judge, where she has sat in juvenile dependency, criminal, and limited civil assignments. Of course, true to form, she finds herself most comfortable in the most challenging area of law a judge can find themselves in, juvenile, where she even served as supervising judge. She has a particular passion for helping survivors of human trafficking by taking a victim-centered approach to those cases. Seeing she could make an even bigger contribution to the court, her colleagues voluntold her, as she put it, into running for assistant presiding judge. To the surprise of no one, she has excelled yet again. Whether at the state or local level, Judge Daglian Hernandez has embraced the challenges of court leadership, both expected and unexpected. Particularly satisfying is her role as a chair of the trial court's presiding judges. Her leadership style emphasizes the importance of developing personal relationships. She has found that remaining connected to one another enables people to continue working well together when facing challenges, which are, of course, inevitable. In other words, she treats the court like a family. And to borrow a phrase my grandmother was fond of, I'm sure her father, Michael, is bursting his buttons with pride tonight. I can assure you that her extended Armenian family in this room certainly is. And like any good family, we celebrate milestones together. Today is her husband Al's 70th birthday. So, like any good birthday party, we need some cake, but before the cake, we need to sing him happy birthday. So, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Al, happy birthday to you. Make a wish. Right answer. That's going to take a while to burn out. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you our first honoree, presiding judge of the Orange County Superior Court, Maria Daglian Hernandez.
So good evening, everyone. Of course, I had planned remarks. I left my glasses in Orange County, so we won't be reading anything. And as my husband will tell me, it's better to just speak from the heart, which is a room full of loving family members. First of all, I look at my husband, my best friend of almost 40 years, and say happy birthday. When I shared with him, this is one of those events that leaves you literally speechless. When I think about community and what everybody in this room means to me and where we have all come from and those before us, I'm not left speechless very often, but this is one of those moments. What I think about most is how important it is to carry forward what our family and friends and so many that continue to struggle in Armenia, what has brought us forward. My dad, you heard, and I'm so grateful to the Armenian Bar Association, thank you. And Michael, those words you captured my dad perfectly. And so it was really hard for me to talk because that's the only thing I regret about this evening is that he's not here with me. And I think he is here, I know he's here, and he is bursting with pride, and he's instilled so much in me. And I'm, again, so grateful for everyone in this room and to be honored with the individuals before me and that will join me. I look at very dear friends right in front of me, and I'm so glad to meet you, Savon. This was my first meeting with you. But I have the honor to be recognized with two individuals that aren't just colleagues to me. I look at my dear friend, Sam Jessner, who I think we're on the phone at least 5 times a week. And I look at Justice Jenkins, and I think where this state has come because of trailblazers like yourself, who have made it possible for all of us to be where we are and to be able to experience what we're experiencing here as community. My goodness, it's beyond community. When we talk about inclusivity and diversity and making sure that we are moving forward what, again, our family members have brought for us and that dream, that American dream. And it's true, Michael, my father never spoke of the atrocities that his parents experienced when they fled in 1921 until late in his life before he passed away. And I think about it, and I know so many of you, we hear that word or that phrase of, family trauma, right? Intergenerational trauma, and what that means, and that we need to make sure we identify with it and make sure we're addressing those and being the voices for so many who don't have voices. And when we started off this evening, those words of thanks and gratitude to judicial officers, no, the thanks goes to everyone in this room, in this community, because I think my colleagues would join me in saying it's never once been a sacrifice to do what we do. I started as a public defender. I look at many of my colleagues from OC. I thank you for traveling here. We have a relationship with so many of the counties, but Los Angeles County, I was just talking with Judge Ocampo, and how special it is to have this relationship. So again, being a community and making sure that we are holding up our end of the bargain, which is for those who've sacrificed before us, those who persevered for us, and those who had the courage to allow us to be here and be in a community. So again, I just want to say thank you so very much. This is such a humbling honor. And I also know that being brief is good because you need to eat and continue to communicate and interact. And I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you in this tremendous honor. So thank you very much.
I wanted to read the award for the crowd with an with an abundance of admiration and affection, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night, the Armenian Bar Association recognizes Presiding Judge Maria Daglian Hernandez, Superior Court of the State of California, County of Orange, who, among communities of wide ethnic and cultural diversity, gives true meaning to the unifying and transcending principles of freedom, equality, and humanity in courts of law. She reflects the sacred values and ethics of those from whom she is descended. Generations of parents and grandparents who sought and sacrificed for freedom, who earned it, who lived it, and who passed it on to her, and now she to so many others. Thank you again, Judge Hernandez.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted and honored to introduce you to our next honoree, an individual who embodies elegance and nobility, a person who has become a role model for so many in our diverse community, the Honorable Samantha Gessner, presiding judge of the Los Angeles County Superior Court, a largest trial court in the United States. I believe in fate, and everything in life happens for a reason. I met Judge Gessner in 2018 for the first time, when she made that phone call, introduced herself, and informed me that she was going to be my presenter at the new judge's installation ceremony. She has been doing that job since 2015. We talked for a long time. She asked me questions about my background, my life, my family. She also shared information about her life. I realized right there and then that fate has brought this wonderful, kind human being with family values, compassion, and empathy into my life. Judge Gessner was literally born to be a lawyer. As her amazing, trailblazing mother, Patricia Phillips, gave birth to her while she was in law school. She grew up with a mother who was a great lawyer, and while she was in grammar school, and before the days of Uber and Lyft, her busy working mother hired a driver to ferry all her kids back and forth to school in a limousine, which apparently was much embarrassment for Judge Gessner. She was in classical ballet, if you don't know. She's a great ballet dancer. And during summers, she danced at San Francisco Ballet. Years later, during an interview with the U.S. Attorney's Office with then the U.S. Attorney, Nora Manella, Judge Gessner was getting ready to respond to why they should hire her to be a prosecutor with the United States Attorney's Office. That interview turned into a discussion about ballet, since Nora Manella herself was a ballet dancer. Apparently, Judge Gessner, a skilled dancer, almost opted for a career as a professional ballet dancer instead of a lawyer. And I want to thank you for choosing the law. Having extremely positive women in her life, like her mom, Nora Manella, and others, had profound impact on Judge Gessner's career path and her passion for law. Her status as a minority woman has affected her career by allowing her the opportunity to mentor young women and help them succeed in the profession. In meetings with minority bars, including the Armenian Bar and the women bars, Judge Gessner speaks to young women and minority lawyers about the importance of making the profession more diverse and, of course, the bench diverse. Judge Gessner advocates for each member of our bar to step up and take action, to help individual women and minority attorneys to enter, remain, and thrive in the law. Mentoring is an important part of the picture. She believes that a diverse legal profession gives credibility to the entire system of justice because it is an apparent sign that all people are treated equally. During one of her recent interviews, when she was asked about the importance of bar associations, Judge Gessner said, "Bar associations are a wonderful way to involve lawyers, especially young lawyers, to learn leadership, community involvement, and to thrive." Judge Gessner has always been a big supporter of the Armenian Bar Association and its programs. She very well knows about our pro bono clinic, mentorship program, to give everyone access to justice, and a good friend to the Armenian community. Leading the largest court in the nation, which is home to the largest Armenian community as a diaspora outside Republic of Armenia, her support and friendship are very much appreciated and valued. Having succeeded in a professional environment that does not always welcome women and minorities, Judge Jessner is a passionate advocate for change, new innovations, new ideas, and always thinking outside the box. After graduating school and becoming a lawyer, she's handled a lot of different positions. She was in practice, private practice, then she went into United States Attorney's Office as an assistant United States attorney when she met her love of life, Gregory Jessner, who she married, and if I'm not mistaken and my math serves me right, you guys are celebrating your 25th anniversary with 2 beautiful children. Congratulations. She then was an assistant inspector general for Los Angeles Police Commission and an in-house counsel for Fortune 10 company Boeing. And firsthand, she saw the way law operates in very different goals, different purposes, and that is the experience, valuable experience she gained, which she used the minute she got on the bench in 2007 to date. And when asked, she humbly replies, trying to make a difference every day. And indeed, you do it every day. She was instrumental in renaming the Criminal Courts Building, which all of us know as CCB, after Clara Shortridge Foltz, the first woman lawyer admitted to the bar in California, the first female lawyer on the entire west coast of the United States. That's fitting, since as part of the renaming ceremony, Judge Jessner and her good friend, Nicole Bershon, Judge Bershon, were charged to ensure the first female Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor, made it safely to the ceremony for her remarks. With the leadership Judge Jessner has with LA County Superior Court, it continues her efforts to craft innovative approaches to effectively and efficiently meet the mission of the court, which is to provide access to justice through fair and timely resolution of cases. Some of the projects that you've all heard about are court technology, judicial mentorship, ADR, care court, bail reform, to just name a few. And as late as about 2 weeks ago, she's now into trying to get artificial intelligence into our courtrooms. And she does not stop within the boundaries of Los Angeles County. She goes beyond county lines to the state and the nation. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our next honoree, the presiding judge of Los Angeles County Superior Court, Honorable Samantha Jessner, my good friend.
I didn't want to trip or fall because you would all think she was a ballerina. You know, there are many things that Judge Ashvanian just said that I have such fond memories of, and if Nicole Bershon is still here, she'll remember the two of us sitting on the floor in the back of the van with the Secret Service, with Sandra Day O'Connor in the front. And all we had to do was get her one place to the other place. It was like 4 blocks, and it was the most stressful thing we've ever done, but we did it. Thank you, Amy, for that very, very generous introduction that was so personal. It was very much appreciated, and as I said, it brought back very many memories. Maria, you could have borrowed my glasses. I am so appreciative of this honor, and as many of you know, and I think we share this, This is one of the best bar events of the year. Yeah. So to be standing before you this evening accepting this award here with all of you is extra special. Another thing that makes this special, and I often mention him, and I'll mention him again before I go on to others, and that is to have Assistant Presiding Judge Sergio Tapia here. As many of you know and you see, or you can imagine, Judge Tapia and I spend a lot of time together, and I feel fortunate every day to stand side by side with him as we lead, as you heard, the largest trial court in the country. Of course, he may have a different view, but he's too polite to ever say or show the different view. I'm sure there are things that I do and say that are like nails on a chalkboard for him, but he's too nice to say so, and I'm confident that one of those things is that I have about 10 stories or 10 phrases that I tend to repeat over and over. And hearing them is something I'm sure he will not miss when I finish my term at the end of the year. But one of those phrases is this: what matters to me most is who I get to do something with rather than what it is that we're doing. Accepting this award tonight is no exception. I'm so very humbled to be sharing the spotlight tonight with Presiding Judge Maria Hernandez and California Supreme Court Justice Martin Jenkins. So let me start by talking a little bit about Judge Hernandez. So Southern California is home to the 5 largest counties in California: LA, Orange, San Diego, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. Right now, meaning in 2024, all 5 of the superior courts in these counties are led by women. And present company accepted, they are fantastic women who lead with courage, confidence, compassion, and grace. It's worth taking a minute to recognize what an extraordinary thing it is that women have achieved such prominence in the judiciary in California. So let's go back to Judge Hernandez. If you've been reading the paper, in her role as presiding judge, she's dealt with some exceptionally difficult problems. And there are many confidential matters that you won't read about that she has handled with similar calm and confidence. Every day, Judge Hernandez carries out her duties as presiding judge of the Orange County Superior Court with warmth. I think you saw that when she addressed all of us. Intelligence, certitude, and as has been mentioned, empathy. We are very lucky if we feel supported by others and can rely on colleagues for wise counsel and good humor. Judge Hernandez is one of those people for me. She is a lifeline. She is the person I can call when I need to start the conversation with, "You're not going to believe this, ... She's the leader in the judicial branch, and she demonstrates every day that an effective leader can be compassionate but also make tough decisions that do not necessarily make everyone happy. I'm confident that her legacy will prove the truth of something Maya Angelou said, which is, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Judge Hernandez, congratulations on this extraordinarily well-deserved recognition, and a big happy birthday to Al. And now, turning to Justice Martin Jenkins. Wow. This is a pinch me moment to be recognized alongside Justice Jenkins. When Amy called me and told me that I would be receiving this award, it didn't occur to me to ask who else was receiving the award. I guess, self-centered or something. And then I got the flyer, And there was Martin's picture along with Maria's picture, and I thought, what alternate universe am I living in? A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to spend time with Justice Jenkins at an event our court hosted in honor of new judges on our court. Most of them were appointed when Justice Jenkins served as Governor Newsom's Judicial Appointments Secretary before he joined the Supreme Court. Each new judge who was recognized posed for a photo with Justice Jenkins and court leadership. As a result, for, 90 minutes, I had a front row seat to the conversation each one had with Justice Jenkins. Not only did each judge thank him profusely for the role he played in their appointment, but nearly to a person, they shared a memory of the interview they had with him and the impact of the opportunity to meet him and spend time with them had on them. I joked about it at the time. We kind of stood in the back of that big room. But I'm serious when I say it was like watching worshipers meet their deity as they each made their pilgrimage to Justice Jenkins. And with each new judge, he shared a memory, a story, something personal, making the new judge feel like the only one in the room, or more aptly, like they were the only person appointed during his tenure. But he had a connection like I have never seen and remembered something personal about each one of them. It was very moving. I had the pleasure of speaking with Justice Jenkins recently. Our conversation started with a subject that was fairly mundane and ended nearly an hour later with a deep discussion of gratitude, lessons we learned from our parents, grief, and more. I hung up the phone feeling like I had just made a profound connection. These connections are hard to come by these days, but I want to thank Justice Jenkins for giving me his time and his attention, and for our conversation that I will remember for a very long time. I have to go off script for a minute because I didn't know that Zavin was going to receive an award. He didn't know either, although he had very well-prepared remarks for somebody that didn't know he was getting an award. I'll make this short. I don't need to tell everybody in this room just how important Zavin is to the court community. In addition, you could see and you could feel how important he is to the Armenian community. He has been such a source of strength and support for me. And I think one of the things that is so deeply touching and meaningful about Zavin is the connection that he has always maintained to his community, to the court, and to his family. And it is always lovely to see Armenia, and it's wonderful to see how much the two of you are so proud of your children. Zavin, you are missed. I have no doubt that that insight that you have about human beings that I think is so informed by the history that you shared with us serves you so well in what you're doing now and did for so many years on the court. So thank you. It is really our great pleasure to have been your colleague. So congratulations. So let me end by expressing my gratitude to all of you and the Armenian Bar Association. The website notes that people recognized with this award have opened broadly the public's access to justice, advanced the precepts of the rule of law, incorporated compassion into the fabric of their characters, and guided others in the profession and in life. I don't think there's a better way to describe what I have tried to achieve in my tenure as presiding judge, even if I have missed the mark more than I would like. If I have achieved any of these things, I could not have done so without the support of the Armenian Bar Association. The Bar Association, in the many years that I have been attending its events, starting in the small restaurant a few miles over, has always struck me as a group that recognizes how important it is to be a responsible part of the legal profession and be deeply committed to both the legal community and your ethnic community. The feeling in this room embodies what the bar stands for: dedication to supporting each other's success through friendship, through camaraderie, and through a commitment to providing meaningful access to justice for those that we all serve. In conclusion, you're thinking, thank God she's going to conclude. It really is the honor of a lifetime to lead the Los Angeles Superior Court, and it's a privilege beyond measure to be recognized by the Armenian Bar Association along with Judge Hernandez and Justice Jenkins. Your organization creates an important forum for lawyers of Armenian heritage to come together professionally and socially to address the legal concerns of the Armenian community. And you know, it doesn't hurt that you know how to throw a great, beautiful party. I'm honored to be part of it. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to read what's on your plaque, Judge Jessner. The Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night, honors with conspicuous acclaim and appreciation Presiding Judge Samantha Jessner, Superior Court of State of California, County of Los Angeles, for her inspiring and irreproachable example of leadership and for her superlative standard of integrity, for instilling dignity and dimension into the legal profession and in court of law, whose words, whose deeds, and above all else, whose spirit are rooted in her graceful syntheses of warmth, compassion, and sincerity. April 30th, 2024, Los Angeles, California. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to introduce to you our next honoree, our last honoree, last but not least, the Honorable Justice Martin Jenkins. We are at an Armenian Bar Association event, and it's only important to inform you all that Justice Jenkins' connection with the Armenian community, not to mention Armenian food and his love for the food, goes back 35 years. In 1989, then California Governor George Deukmejian recognized a rising star in the legal profession and appointed Justice Jenkins to the Oakland Municipal Court. Then in 1992, Governor Pete Wilson, no, he's not Armenian, appointed Justice Jenkins to the Alameda County Superior Court. However, the appointment secretary to Governor Wilson, who interviewed Justice Jenkins and eventually made that fateful phone call, which every judicial applicant hopes and prays for, was none other than honorary Armenian Bar Association member and Court of Appeal Justice Chuck Charles Puchigian. Throughout his career on the bench, one of Justice Jenkins' big supporters and good friends has been Marvin Bagdasarian, better known to most of us as a retired California Supreme Court Justice Marvin Baxter, another honorary member of the Armenian Bar Association. They remain good friends to this day. But wait, there's more. As I was doing my research on Justice Jenkins, I realized that he occupies the very Supreme Court seat right now, once held by another honorary member of the Armenian Bar Association, Justice Armand Arabian. Fittingly, we now come full circle today, because just as Justice Jenkins is celebrating his 35th anniversary of Governor Dukmejian's appointment and his connection with the Armenians, us too, the Armenian Bar Association, is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. As you can see, Justice Jenkins' journey to Armenian Bar Judge of the Year honoree was somewhat inevitable, given his deep Armenian legal roots. But another Armenian played a role in steering Justice Jenkins into the legal profession in the first place. You see, before heading to law school, Justice Jenkins briefly played as a cornerback for the 1977 Seattle Seahawks. The offensive coordinator on that team, Sam Bogosian. The NFL's loss is our great gain. Justice Jenkins' parents grew up in Jim Crow South and spoke of their experiences not with bitterness, but with an understanding of importance of education to surmount the hurdles that way of life imposed. Given his parents' examples, it is not all that surprising Justice Jenkins turned to law because he realized, in his own words, if I furthered my education, I could give back. So then he left NFL and enrolled in University of San Francisco School of Law. Justice Jenkins was determined to use the law as a vehicle for a life devoted to public service. And what a life that has been.
Justice Jenkins started as one of the first African-American prosecutors in the Alameda County DA's office. Then, fittingly, given his parents' experiences in the South, he joined the United States Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. There, he investigated and prosecuted acts of religious and racial violence throughout the country. His time there inevitably led him to return to the very region his parents moved from, the South. However, when he arrived, he was surprised to find that instead of being received with relief, he was met with fear. Fear that whatever change he imposed would be clawed back as soon as he left. In speaking with Justice Jenkins, it is impossible not to be drawn in by the very qualities that we as judges aspire to convey every day in our courtrooms: empathy, humility, and perhaps the most important quality of all, the ability to listen. Justice Jenkins speaks fondly about his parents, especially his father, who had a profound impact on his life, career, and the choices he made. His father was a custodian at Coit Tower. Justice Jenkins would go to work with him in the summer growing up. In the morning, his dad washed windows and cleaned toilets. By afternoon, he had put on a suit and would give tourists from all around the world a tour of San Francisco from the top deck. Then, his father would come down and talk about the big murals that still adorn those walls to this day. It was his father's passion. Ever observant, this experience taught Justice Jenkins the value of treating people kindly. He noticed how people lit up because someone took time, was concerned about them, would give them suggestions about places to eat and things they should see. Justice Jenkins decided not to pursue any particular area of law. Instead, he wanted to give back to the public like his father. He wanted to add value to people's lives in any way he could. Lucky for all of us, he chose the law as his tool to do just that. Justice Jenkins eventually returned to California to work in-house at Pacific Bell so he could care for his ill mother. His mother passed away the very day Justice Puchigian called to congratulate him on his appointment to the court. That call was the beginning of a judicial career that has spanned 35 years and included service on 5 different state and federal courts, as well as Governor Newsom's first judicial appointment secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of California, Martin Jacobs.
So I promise to be brief. One, out of respect for the time, but also because I'm feeling quite emotional in this moment. You've heard that I have spent the last 35 years of my career as a judge, and I've been to many, many Bar Association dinners and over the years and enjoyed them all, but I have never had an experience like the one tonight. So I fancied myself, you heard a bit of the introduction, I fancied myself tonight that I would stand here and give you a greeting in your native language. And I called my friend Chuck Puchigian and said, can you just give me a few phrases that I could start my remarks with? And by the time we started to try to work through the trilling of the R's and the guttural sounds, so this is not going to work. I would end up offending the audience if I tried to do so. So I put that aside and I quickly pivoted to what I really want to say, which is thank you. You heard in the introduction, my judicial career was launched by the founding members of this organization. Before I knew any of you, you embraced me. And that first appointment made by Governor Duke Majan, he appointed me a Democrat whose father was a janitor, who knew no one of political significance, who really did not have any positions of note that would have catapulted me to the front of the line. And he took a chance, appointing me as a Democrat to the municipal court. And when I asked Marvin Baxter in the interview, what was it about me that the governor thought I could give back to my community, he said, your life experience. If you've ever been outside the mainstream, and so many people in this room tonight have been, you've been the other. You know what that feels like. And you spend the rest of your time and your effort in trying to make sure that no one feels like that again. I felt sorry for Chuck Puchigian when he called me the day we came back from burying my mother and told me that I had been elevated to Superior Court. I felt sorry for him because I knew my mother. And she did not give him nor the governor a moment's rest when she reached heaven. If you don't appoint my son, bad things will happen to you, I promise. That was who she was. So I'm thinking, I want to close with this, 3 things. First, Zavin. What a wonderful, wonderful legacy you have created. What a wonderful award you received tonight. But I hope you know in this moment that the greatest gift that's been given to you tonight is the gift of love. In this room, there is genuine love for you, and that is rare in our profession. Congratulations. To my co-awardees, Maria, Sam, they're more than a lifeline for me. They are a lifeline in one instance because when you sit on the high court, you can lose a sense of what's happening day in and day out in the trial courts, and you need that sense. You need that sense to help form the decisions that the high court writes. And they are 2 people, along with Kathleen O'Leary, that I can call and I know they will give me the gospel truth about what I'm calling about. And sometimes I'll just call them and say, you know, now, this is what I'm going to decide. Tell me I'm not crazy. And then they'll tell me, you're not crazy, but don't you do that. They are both amazing, amazing judges, women in their own right. And the most amazing thing to say about them is they are truly my friends. Congratulations on the awards you both received tonight. So I want to close with a poem that I have carried around with me for just about 38 years now. When I was at the Department of Justice working in the Civil Rights Division in the criminal section, the section charged with prosecuting 4 statutes, essentially racial violence crimes, police misconduct crimes, involuntary servitude crimes, immigrants who were forced to work for no wages or slave labor at best. Traveling all around the country as a 24-year-old, I found myself at one point in a rural town in Georgia working on an excessive force case. It was a terrible case. What happened to these young men should never happen to any human being. And what I found, having heard my parents tell the stories, having grown up in Texas and Louisiana, respectively, in the Jim Crow South, the atrocities they experienced and they saw, that never embittered them, is why I chose to do that work, to have my own real-time experience, to give back in a way that they had taught me to. And here I was in this investigation, and approached by an African-American woman who is about the age I am now, criticizing me for being there, suggesting that I go home, back to Washington, D.C., because as she said, you come down here and you start all this trouble, and then these crackers make us pay for it. And I was devastated. That is not the greeting I expected. And I called a friend of mine to tell him what had transpired. And he sent me this poem, and I have kept it. I have one on my desk in my chambers. I have one at home. The work that this Bar Association does is challenging and difficult to lift up the cause for diversity and full inclusion. The work you do domestically here and in your native land is challenging and difficult. And sometimes we grow tired and we need something, someone to inspire us. This is what this poem has been for me. It's written by one of the Harlem Renaissance poets, one of my favorites, Langston Hughes, but I must admit, before it was sent to me, I'd never read it. And I hope it will do for you what it's done for me. Whenever I'm lost, whenever I'm fatigued, whenever I'm tired, whenever I feel like I cannot go on, I read this poem. And it's called Dream of Freedom, written by an African-American man from the Jim Crow South, who clearly was not embittered by what happened to him. Dream of Freedom reads as follows. There is a dream in the land with its back against the wall. By muddled names and strange, sometimes the dream is called. There are those who claim this dream for theirs alone, a sin for which we know they must atone. For unless shared in common like sunlight and like air, the dream will die for lack of substance anywhere. The dream knows no frontier, no tongue. The dream knows no class or race. The dream cannot be kept secure in any one locked place. This dream today, embattled with his back against the wall, to save the dream for one, it must be saved for all. Thank you so very much.
We'll read the plaque now for Justice Jenkins. The Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night, recognizes for rare distinction the Honorable Martin J. Jenkins, Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court. For what he has always done and continues to do, he encourages the judicial and legal professions to unprecedented heights of inclusivity and to welcoming horizons of diversity. For who he has ever been and continues to be, he exemplifies the very essence of civility and justice and embodies the transformative tenets of truth, tolerance, and tenacity. Thank you very much, Justice Jenkins.